Hey, we're coming to you live from the RPT Convention 2026 down in Houston, Texas. We're at the TFR booth number 209 here on the floor. We've got State Representative Mitch Little with us. Going to talk about some important legislative priorities, talk about the next session coming up. Mitch, I've been on Ledge Priorities all week. We've heard some excellent testimony, but I haven't heard yours. What are some things you'd like to see the legislative priorities that delegates support come to you guys in support of?
We've got to have some serious property tax reform. You know, the speech that I always give to people back home is if you really want to reform property taxes, you've got to control all three levers of the process.
Sure.
You've got to control spending, you've got to control the rates, and you've got to control the appraisals. And you know, historically, Texas has not addressed all of those things at one time. We just kind of throw rate compression at the problem and expect it to get better. Well, it's not getting better. It's not getting back to people. And
you push down one side, the other two go right back up.
It's very disturbing. We've got to, if we're going to sincerely do it, we need to tackle it all now.
Do you think there's any appetite at all to touch the least popular lever among politicians, and that's the spending side, especially at the state level, but the local level too, out of control, right? Do you think there'll be any effort to rein in spending at all?
Absolutely. You know, what I'm finding is that the more conservatives we introduce in the legislature, the better we get on this issue, the more pushback we have on the budget. You know, there's got to be a sincere effort to deal with the spending problem, because you don't solve that, you're spinning your wheels.
Yeah, that's what fuels the whole deal, right? You spend less, you need less revenue. There's a lot of different plans to address the property tax issue. Our plan is to eliminate the M&O side, which we can do through rate compression using surplus funds, stuff like that, and then kind of deal with the rest later. What are some ideas that you like, some specifics on how we can get this under control? Here's
a major problem. You know, you've addressed the M&O side. We have a major borrowing problem in the state of Texas in our school districts. They are borrowing money right and left. It's not accountable. They misuse the bond proceeds. They apply them to other things they shouldn't apply them to. And that is something that only the voters can control. We need to increase the vote threshold to pass a bond. And if you have a bond fail, you shouldn't be able to put that thing right back on in the next election cycle.
Yeah, I think maybe moving them all to the November election. Is there any appetite to maybe address that?
I think that's a really fine idea. I think we need to move all of our municipal elections to November too. Force people to slate up, commit to who they are. And so the average voting public person understands what people stand for.
I don't think the conversation about property taxes matters all that much if we don't address this next issue. That's the issue of taxpayer-funded lobbying. The whole system is rigged against the taxpayer to prevent any sort of meaningful relief or reform from happening. We came pretty close last time. Do you think this bill has better legs than last session? Do you think it maybe perhaps goes to a different committee? What does the future of taxpayer-funded lobbying look like?
I think it's in hospice care, for sure.
Wow.
Like, I think if you look at last session, I want to compare it to the China land bill. China land bill couldn't actually get heard in the Texas House in state affairs. This past time, Texas taxpayer-funded lobbying ban couldn't make its way through state affairs. What has to happen at the grassroots level is we need to put enough pressure to where it's unthinkable that this bill not be heard and pass. I do think we're going to get it passed this time.
I think it speaks to just like what the party's done with the legislative priorities in particular. That means something now. I feel like we heard a lot more testimony. People care. They want their issue on the RPT Ledge priorities because they see the traction that it's accumulating over the years. We go in session after session. And just maybe talk about, Mitch, what it means when regular, ordinary grassroots people come to your office in the building and say, guys, here's our priorities. Can you help us get them passed? You know, do you feel like you see more people doing that? Is that an encouragement for you?
It is happening. It's not only an encouragement, but my encouragement back to the grassroots is give politicians no quarter. If there is something that you're passionate about, get in their face, go to their office, don't rest until it gets passed. You know, the conservatives have assumed control of the Republican Party apparatus in large part.
I think so,
that
too.
means they're more demanding. They have higher expectations that our Republican Party of Texas legislative priorities are going to pass. That's a good thing that politicians feel pressure in the State House.
I think the whole movement, right, and that includes what we're doing through the RPT these days, has matured a lot. I feel like we've learned a lot over the years. We've kind of figured out what works and what doesn't. we're not wasting our time or resources. We're going after what is most important. I think we're doing a much better job. Last one I want to talk to you about, Mitch. There was a scandal involving a government program, the Texas Lottery.
Yeah.
It erupted last year. Huge allegations of, perhaps an international crime syndicate operating within government.
Right.
$95 million rig jackpot. I feel like for the first time, there's a real interest in maybe reining in, seriously, scandal, corruption. We have conversations about doging Texas. Is this something that you think is actually in reach for once? It feels like a lot of the time, problems like the Texas Lottery, what we found, just get explained away or swept under the rug. Is there going to be any sort of accountability for what happened there, and what does that look like?
So you may recall from the last session, Brent Money and I argued on the floor in favor of ending the lottery.
Rather than hearing...
rather than reforming it or putting it under another agency.
Or whatever else.
Yeah,
right.
These are government half measures. People have to warm up to the idea that the lottery is not a permanent fixture.
Sure.
I want to go back and try to address this again this session.
Yeah.
It is obvious that government doesn't have the ability to rein in the fraud that happens in the lottery. And I'll say it again, just like I said on the House floor, government is addicted to poor people's money. And as long as we are addicted to spending that money, whether it's for veterans or for schools, we're continuing to perpetuate human misery, and the lottery is just one tool that happens.
Is it crazy of me to think that the legislature can find the $3 to $4 billion that comes from the lottery through a different stream? Can we fund our schools and our veteran stuff through something else instead of just preying on the most vulnerable in society?
Pick any set of useless spending that you don't like and just transfer it over.
Yeah, that's great. Representative Mitch Little, a taxpayer champion, super proud to get to see him work in the Texas legislature. He's got a bunch of great colleagues down there doing their best to deliver on these and more.
Yep.
Anything for just delegates or folks watching at home?
Check your representatives' Texans for Fiscal Responsibility score. Understand where your representative stands on spending and make that score get better.
Awesome. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you guys at home. Talk to you soon. See you in Houston.